やあ、諸君。
Alright, I was not expecting you to be speaking as soon as I began this video. Hello everyone, this is Michael McKiddles may call me, and welcome back to Umineko no Naku Kore ni, or Umineko when they cry, or Umineko when the seagulls cry. Without further ado, let us begin this lunch with the Ushiomiya family, starting with Uncle Cross commencing the dinner. I think. I'm not sure.
当主様は具合が優れられないとのことだ。せっかくこうして1年ぶりの会合に集まってくれた諸君と昼食を共にできないことを非常に残念にしておられた。
Did he really seem that sad?
ゴーダ、ランチを始めてくれ。
かしこまりました。それでは本日の昼食を始めさせていただきます。
南條先生、そんなにお父様のお具合は悪いの？せめて顔くらい見せてくれてもいいわよね。
体調というよりは機嫌ですな。こればかりはつける薬がありませんので。
おいおい、機嫌ってまたかよ。そりゃないぜ。こちとら秋のクソ忙しい時期にスケジュール都合してご機嫌伺いに来てるんだ。それをよ。
よかったじゃないか、ルドルフ。ご機嫌は伺えたんだ。それとも不機嫌な親父殿を私に代わりお前が説得して連れてきてくれるのかね。
まさかな。
Rudolph shrugged. Apparently, though Rudolph was willing to be indignant at how self-centered his father was, he wasn't particularly disappointed to be spared a face-to-face meeting.
夕食までにはその機嫌治りそうなの？クロス兄さん。
そんなことは知らんよ。親父殿に直接聞いてみるといい。もっとも声をかけない方が機嫌の治りは早いと思うがね。
源氏さんだけだよ、じいさまの機嫌を直せるのは。情けないぜ。自分の親の機嫌を使用人に直させるんだからよ。
ジェシカ、余計なことは言わなくていい。
She'd planned for her complaint to be only heard by her cousins, but it had even reached Cross's ears. Scolded, Jessica scowled and turned away, sulking.
機嫌がうんぬんってことは病状はそんな悪くないんじゃねえの？元気がないってんならともかく機嫌が悪いってのは少なくとも気はしっかりしてる証拠だぜ。
おじいさまは特に強い気力をお持ちだからね。でも体が必ずしもそれに伴えるとは限らないよ。去年からずっと余命3ヶ月って言われ続けてる。最初の診断が正しいならおじいさまは気力だけで流られてるってことになる。気遣ってあげないといけないよ。
Lunch started with the family's head seats still empty. The man who should be sitting there had already grown old, and the brilliant glory which had built the Ushiomiya family in the span of a single lifetime was being forgotten. Damn it, I felt that cough coming in. Well, at least I got it out of my system. Oh man, my eyes are tearing up. Damn it. Even though they were beginning the meal with that seat still empty, no one felt it was that odd anymore. Umineko no Nakugor ni. And alright. It's now 1:30. 13:30. Ooh. Oh no. The Ushiramiya Family Conference was held once every year, on the first weekend of October. If a normal family were to hold a so-called family conference, you'd expect it to be nothing more than a reunion of rarely seen relatives who greet each other around buckets of sushi or something. However, part of the family's great fortune had been lent out to grandfather's children, and no one in this family was considered an adult until they had met with success in business. So, this meeting literally was a conference. How much of the fortune was invested? What sort of business was conducted? How much profit was earned? As a result, how much of the fortune borrowed from the main family could be repaid? Or, possibly, how much more would be borrowed for future business ventures? What lessons had they learned, and what could they learn from their mistakes? It seems that topics like these were discussed very seriously in the past. My dad said it was like lying on a bed of nails. Apparently, it used to be a very serious family meeting, where people were bathed in scornful and angry voices, and some people even got slapped despite their age. However, that had become a thing of the past. Now, with everyone pursuing their own business ventures and achieving a success, it was becoming more of a normal yearly get-together. Even so, telling grandfather about recent events was extremely stressful. So, while it was nothing more than a simple get-together for us grandchildren, it was still a real stomachache for our parents. The absence of the man who was the source of all this trouble, regardless of the reason, probably made today's lunch taste much more delicious. One more time, I could get this. Probably made today's lunch taste much more delicious. There we go. The phrase, while the demon isn't not around, everyone can relax, comes to mind. Anyway, let's introduce Jessica's father, whose face I haven't seen for 6 years. The man sitting to my father's left is his older brother and Jessica's father, Uncle Cross. His name sure is easy to read. Cross. Now that we've gotten used to this string of weird names, our perspective is totally skewed. So, Cross doesn't actually seem that bad. It even starts to sound kinda cool. Just like with Aunt Nasuhi, I didn't have any memories of speaking with Uncle Cross. He had never been one to chat to children, and I felt like he was always talking with the adults, just like Aunt Nasuhi. According to my father's gossip, he was a spiteful and violent man. If what he said is true, Uncle Cross used to be very domineering from his position as the oldest sibling, and was despised by all the other siblings. Though, despite that, those siblings all seem to be chatting happily together. I don't sense that this is going to be, the case for long, or if that was the case at all. Oh, well. Even if their relationship was bad when they were children, sometimes when people grow up and live apart from each other, their relationships change. That's probably what this was. After all, they all had children of about the same age. By sharing the same family environment, they probably profited by exchanging opinions. Maybe because of that, a short while ago, the circle of parents began to discuss the exams Jessica and I would be taking. Jessica, in order to escape questions about exams from my father on her left, purposely faced right while firing off a rapid series of comments, not giving him any chance to get a word in. Moving on, let's look at the opposite from crossing the others. In the very last seat at the table, an old gentleman with a sturdy physique sat facing Cartier-san. This was my first time meeting him. I had only just been introduced to him, but it seems he's grandfather's personal doctor, a man called Nanjo. I heard he used to own a huge clinic on the nearby island of Nijima, but he turned it over to his son and began living a life of leisure in his old age. He had known grandfather since the very beginning, when the mansion was first constructed on this island, and had built up a relationship over the... I'm gonna reread this entire thing, oh my god, He had known grandfather since the very beginning, when the mansion was first constructed on this island, and had built up a relationship over several decades. There we go. I thought at first that the two of them might have gotten to know each other through grandfather's suspicious hobbies, but it seems he was actually grandfather's chess partner. I see. That kind of hobby seems very like our grandfather, what with his love of all things Western. Nanjo's probably the only person who could enter Rokinjima despite being neither a family member nor a servant. He looked like a calm old gentleman as he listened to the discussion between Carrier and the other woman, who sat near to him. Considering how long he stayed by the side of our short-tempered grandfather, his generous heart was probably nothing to laugh at. Still, even if he was a family doctor, having anyone outside the Ushiramiya family attend the family conference was a little odd. It made me think that grandfather's condition might have worsened so much, it'd be a major topic of discussion at today's conference. After all, George said something like that just a second ago. Something about how we've been getting continuous reports since around last year that grandfather didn't have long to live. It's nasty to think about it, but consider how rich grandfather is. At the time of his death, his wealth will suddenly be released, probably along with a fair share of our parents' stomach acid. And it'll lead to ulcers for everyone. After all, this sort of thing just gets messier when there's more wealth to be divided. There's a good chance they'll be talking about stuff like that at the family conference. Still, it's not like it's got anything to do with us kids. Finally, even though he hasn't shown up, let me introduce our grandfather. The person who should be sitting in that incipient chair is Ushiramiya Kinzo. It really sucks. Everyone else in the family has these weird names, but he's got this perfectly normal one himself. If only his name were written Kinzo, but he let us call him Goldsmith or something. I totally freak out. As you can probably guess by now, he's a frightening person with an extremely short temper. I'm one of his grandchildren, not a son, and I haven't seen him since elementary school. Thanks to that, I have no memory of being beaten myself, but our parents were apparently raised with an iron fist. That earlier conversation between my dad and Uncle Cross about who should go convince grandfather to come down seems pretty darn funny once you know the background. Alright. Before we talk about grandfather's story, let's go to the system real quick and read the pages for Cross and Nanjo. Ushiomiya Cross, Kinzo's first child. As the oldest of the four siblings, he leads the family conference. However, the other siblings think he is trying to get all the inheritance for himself, and this further strains the tensions between them. He is a real estate investor and has put a lot of money into the development of a resort. However, his results have been harshly criticized. Intriguing. He's in it for the inheritance. Attending physician Nanjo. Kinzo's attending physician and longtime friend. He once ran a hospital on Nijima, but he turned it over to his son and now enjoys his old age in peace. Now that Kinzo's constant suspicion has reached extraordinary heights, Nanjo is one of the very few people he trusts. Thanks to Nanjo's big-hearted nature, he has been able to continue his friendship with Kinzo, despite the latter's tendency to fly into a rage at the slightest provocation. You can't really tell Grandfather's story without covering that pivotal event back before the Showa era, 1926 to 1989. Until the Meiji, 1968 to 1912, in Taisho, 1912 to 1926 eras, the Ushimiya family was great and prosperous. They owned several spinning mills, making them rich enough to just double over laughing every day as the money kept rolling in. Incidentally, Grandfather was a member of a branch family and had pretty much nothing to do with the main family. Not only was he way down the list of people who could inherit the headship, but he hardly had any contact with the glamorous main family. However, during the Great Kanto earthquake in the year Taisho 12, 1923, the mansion owned by the Ushimiya family in Odawara was flattened. The spinning mills in Tokyo were all burned down in a huge fire, and the Ushimiya family lost most of its wealth and family members in an instant. So, once they started trying to figure out who the successor to the Ushimiya family should be, they apparently found no one remaining except Kinzo and his branch family. In Kinzo's later reminiscences, he referred to this as good fortune so great that it overturned fate. With that, Grandfather's boring, everyday life did a 180. He was entrusted with reviving the dying Ushimiya family, which had lost nearly all of its wealth. However, just because he had been entrusted with this task didn't mean he could accomplish it. Apparently, those around him weren't really expecting much. However, this is when Grandfather began displaying his extraordinary talent and good luck. Grandfather used all the family's remaining wealth, as well as everything from the hair on his head to his toenails, as collateral in order to borrow a massive amount of money. Once he built up a gigantic war chest, he immediately invested in businesses. It was like someone tumbling down a hill on a bike without any brakes, and then jumping onto a neighboring bike, and then another one. Just like some crazy street performance. I'll bet everyone thought that Grandfather had no business ability whatsoever. However, after several miracles and turns of good luck, with coincidences piling up and every chance taken advantage of, he was suddenly in control of powerful connections with the occupying forces. At that time, MacArthur and the GHQ were the ultimate authority in Japan. Grandfather, in a twinkle of an eye, began succeeding in business under the protection of the occupying forces, quickly becoming very rich. By this point, it's probably safe to say that information, not luck, saved the day. He must have made some seriously deep connections with the occupying forces. Grandfather knew beforehand about emergency demands. Oh, we're really going deep into history right here. Grandfather knew beforehand about emergency demands that would be made for the Korean War. No, it was more than that. He must have predicted those emergency demands from the very beginning, when he started investing his money. The history books made it sound like all Japan made a large profit off of the emergency demands during the Korean War, but that isn't actually true. Only a very limited number of the super rich played the money game and made an easy profit. Most of the citizens remained poor. In other words, Grandfather was a member of this extremely lucky group of winners. I'm pretty sure this all happened during the year Showa 25, 1950 or so. The Great Kanto earthquake that happened in Taisho 13, 1924. So, that means grandfather was able to revive the near-dead Ushiramiya family in only about 20 years to a level even higher than it had ever been before. With that, you'd think he revived the main family in Odawara. But for some reason, he went and did something crazy as buying as buying an entire small island in the Izu archipelago. Buying an entire island is not something that you can ordinarily do today. However, grandfather was clever. He contracted the GHQ and applied for the establishment of a marine resource base. He acquired this island as a business property, then tossed that project aside and claimed it as his own plot of land. After the war, there were preventive measures against food shortages, and having the sponsorship of the GHQ meant that nobody could oppose him. From what I've heard, the Tokyo metropolis of that day offered this land to him practically for free. Later, Tokyo made difficulties by telling Kinzo to return the land, but the pushy GHQ intervened. Anyways, it seems under the table bribes did their work as well. In the end, the city gave up in frustration. Grandfather, with considerable skill and good luck, managed to weather the stormy seas of that period, obtaining a vast fortune in his own land. Of course, it probably wasn't all luck. He was obsessed with all things Western, which helped him cultivate his English skills. He was able to use this to his advantage and sink his teeth into the GHQ. A mansion was built on the island soon after. This mansion, in fact, grandfather, with his love of Western style, made this once uninhabited island a canvas upon which he could realize his dreams to his heart's content. He now had the Western mansion of his dreams, overflowing with emotion and atmosphere, and a beautiful garden featuring all sorts of roses. And he had a private beach where nobody other than himself would ever be permitted to leave a footprint. This would be a dream come true for any boy. After that, he made good use of his huge fortune, becoming a large stockholder in the extremely stable iron and steel industry, and was able to live an easy and comfortable life just by using the dividends. Well, he's just that incredible. This kind of person usually has the ability to foresee and predict the future, or at least that is how they are portrayed after the fact. But grandfather denies all of that, repeatedly saying that he was simply blessed with extraordinary luck. Anyway, even a lord like that can't help but grow increasingly eccentric when locked up alone on an island, where all of his dreams are made real. Everyone knows that he's had a Western obsession from the start. But none of our parents really know when his bizarre black magic hobby began. Did his love of black magic begin way back because he became fascinated with everything Western? Or did his miraculous stretch of good luck while reviving his family cause him to feel a mysterious power in himself? At some point, grandfather began to make the research of black magic his life's work. He filled the study up with suspicious books, chemicals, and magical items as he became increasingly bizarre. From what I've heard, those around him warmly watched over him, figuring that someone who had achieved such success in life had a right to do as he pleased. But there's no way that's true. They were probably just creeped out, thinking, "That's disgusting. I don't want to get involved." Anyway, that agitated period was an age of big gambles, with both opportunities and risk. Let's say grandfather was born in this time period. He would have had no opportunities, and would have probably have advanced like a chess piece from a mandatory education to college at a leisurely pace, never becoming more than an average salary man. If that happened, he probably have sat somewhere, happily talking behind his boss's back. No. Not in a fancy dining hall like this. More like at a table in some bar. Then again, I'll bet this family conference would be a whole lot more relaxing if that were the case. Okay, that's enough about the old geezer. More importantly, let's talk about this incredible lunch!
前菜の刺身のサラダで俺はすでに確信してたね。幸田さんは大したシェフだぜ。しかも、魚は近海で取れたやつだろ。スーパーの刺身とはわけが違ったぜ。
おいおいよせよバトラー。育ちがバレちまうだろうが。
Everyone let out a big laugh. Damn it! You say that even though you love those sheep pubs.
僕も仕事の都合で珍しいところで食事をすることもあるけど、それらと比べてもこれはかなりのものだよ。ゴーダさんは多分その道じゃ少しは知られた人だったんじゃないかな。
よくは知らねえんだけどよ。老舗ホテルでのれん分けだか派閥の分裂だかややこしいことがあってよ。そのトラブルで辞めざるを得なくなっちまったんだってさ。それでその時偶然おふくろが使用人の求人を出してたわけなんだよ。
As Gohda removed the empty plates, he began to recount his own bumpy past without losing a smile.
世の中というのは難しいものです。しかし、そのおかげでこうして今日、後宮家で再び料理人として腕を振るう機会を賜ることができました。大勢の方の笑顔も嬉しいですが、お仕えすると決めた限られた方々にだけ喜んでいただくために繊細なお仕事ができるのもとても楽しいことでございます。これもすべて機会をくださった奥様のおかげです。
Gohda-san respectfully bowed his head towards Aunt Nasuhi.
応募のあった中でゴーダが一番腕が良かったからです。客観的判断に基づくもので市場はありませんので感謝には及びません。
Dang. Why does Aunt Nasuhi always have to sound so indifferent? If only she spoke with a bit more kindness, she might leave a different impression. Sharon-chan and Kumasawa-san entered from the hall with a serving cart.
失礼いたします。
それでは本日のデザートに移らせていただきます。
Gohda-san and the others laid the beautifully adorned dessert out in front of us all. I guess it's true when you say you have another stomach for dessert. That's true for anyone but me. Really, I don't get the hype for dessert myself. I thought I already filled up on delicious food. But as soon as I laid my eyes on that dessert, my stomach started yelling, "More!" I don't know much about desserts, but this looked really good. A white pudding-like substance was garnished with 2 shades of red sauce, and elegant rose petals adorned the dish. Normally, during a high-class meal like this, you're supposed to wait for the chef to extol the virtues of this particular meal before eating. However, Maria was completely indifferent to strict rules like that, so she got excited by this beautiful and delicious-looking dessert, jumping into the fray as soon as it was placed before her. Aunt Rosa scolded her, calling it bad manners, but George responded by saying, Now, it's okay.
こっちの酸っぱい。こっちの酸っぱい。バトラ、こっちのは外れ。
Maria exclaimed as she sampled the two colored sauces.
なんだと？当たりと外れがあるのかよ。よし、俺も味見をしてやるぜ。
Apparently, one sauce was sweet and the other sour. Despite it being bad manners, I also stuck my little finger in and licked it. Whoa! One of the sauces was sour enough to make you pucker up. If it were yellow, I'd suspected lemon, but I couldn't guess what kind of sourness would be red. Blood? Going into the freezer to bring out the version he came in to make the red sauce. Cuts the version's vein opens and just pour it into making the red sauce. What the fuck did I just say? Okay. I have no clue where that came from. I have no clue where that came from. I decided to ask Shannon, who was putting away the serving cart behind us.
シャノンちゃん、この酸っぱいのは何のソースだい？
Shannon hesitated. Maybe her job was just to set the table, so she doesn't really know. Still, even considering that, she seems pretty stressed. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. Or did they use some ingredient that we'd be better off not knowing about? The virgin's blood. Well, Aunt Nasuhi made a gesture that seemed to indicate an oncoming headache. Kumasawa-san, who was setting the table at the opposite seat, began to chuckle.
何の材料を使っていると思いますか？驚きますよ。
It's the virgin's blood.
全然わかんねえぜ。というか、熊沢のばあさんがそういう笑い方すると不気味でならねえぜ。で、何なんだよ、正体は。
内緒ですよ。お耳を拝借。
Kumasawa-san leaned across from the other side of the table. I leaned forward myself when she asked. Their interest caught Jessica, George and Nikki, and of course, Maria also put their ears closer.
"この酸っぱいのはですね、実はお魚のサバの絞り汁ですよ。
No, it's actually the version I took out of the freezer. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. I have no clue where that came from.
サバ？
That's crazy! We all thought, horrified. Only Maria accepted it, nodding sagely.
ほう？サバは酸っぱいよ。絞ったらこうなる。
When Maria started clamoring that mackerel were sour, the adults were unable to contain their laughter.
違うわよ。酸っぱいのはしめ鯖でしょ。
Only Aunt Rosa, her face red, whispered to Maria that mackerel is sour only once prepared as shime saba, Shime Saba. Shime Saba. Ha ha ha! Now I totally remember. Kumasawa-san was always like this, wasn't she? I think I remember her tricking me too, in all sorts of ways when I was young. The most lethal has got to be that one. Those flimsy black things in Chinese dishes. They're kikurage mushrooms. She told me they were banquet meat, and I went all around school like a smartass telling everyone, didn't I?
熊沢のばあちゃん、相変わらずだな。
Oh man. That slime reminds me of my Jinu. He does similar things to me. And my dad had always done that too as well. That's where he got it from. He got it from my Jinu.
マリアが信じちゃうだろ。
冗談ですよ。今からゴーダさんがソースの正体を教えてくれますからね。
Oh shit! Oh no! Oh no, no, no! It's the blood of the virgin. Oh no! Gohda looked a little put off about his masterpiece being laughed at for such a bizarre reason. But after clearing his throat once, he introduced the dessert to us.
それではデザートのご説明をさせていただきます。本日はご来賓の皆様が大層お気に入りでございましたバラの庭園にちなみまして、パンナコッタをローズガーデン風に仕上げてみました。散らしてございますバラの花びらは当家の庭園より先ほど採取してきたものでございます。ソースはストロベリーとローズヒップの2色の赤をご用意しました。ストロベリーの甘味とローズヒップの酸味を交互にお楽しみになってください。なお花びらは観賞用となっておりますので、避けてからお召し上がりくださいませ。
Not the answer I expected.
それではどうぞお楽しみください。
That's actually really talented. One thing to say, this guy's talented at what he does. Whoa! Man! I almost want to applaud before eating. Just like with medicine, reading the detailed description first seems to make it work a whole lot better. As Gohda-san elaborated on the details of this dessert, it started to feel even more appetizing. Seriously, should you call him subtle or just talented? The dessert was probably planned from the beginning, but taking the hit when we all stopped in front of the rose garden earlier today, he displayed an incredible and timely awareness by just adding a few rose petals from that garden. This combination of sweet and sour was also exquisite. If it was just sweet, you'd just get used to it and bored halfway through. But if you reached the sour sauce at that point, you'd get a really vivid taste. And then, once you return to the sweet sauce, all of the sourness in your mouth would be replaced with an enjoyable sweetness. I'm sure everyone else felt the same way. Every time Gohda-san passed by one of our seats, someone praised the taste and his presentation.
いかがですか、奥様。
相変わらず見事です。お客様をおもてなしするに値します。
恐れ入ります。奥様、ご存知ですか？ローズヒップには頭痛に効く効果もあるそうですよ。奥様に特にお気に入りいただけるかと思い、特別にご用意させていただきました。
For some reason, I think Gohda is trying to get something from the family. He's trying to get their trust for some reason. He wants something from the Ushiramiya family.
そう。ありがとう。
ら言ったでしょ、夏日姉さん。ローズヒップは頭痛に効くって。
みたいね。聞くといいんだけど。
合田さん、あんたには惚れるで。なあ、後であんたの待遇を聞かせてや。無理ならあんたの欲しい年収、指立ててくれるだけでもいいやで。
I wanna steal you from the main family.
あんたの腕が、この島だけで独占されとるのは、人類の食文化に対する冒涜や。その腕、わしの会社で振るって、お客の皆さんを喜ばせてみる気はないかのう。
秀吉さん、うちのゴーダを引き抜かれるのですか？これは困った。ゴーダの待遇をもっと良くしないと引き抜かれてしまいそうだ。
そうした方がいいわね。じゃないと引き抜かれて、3食が熊沢さんのサバ料理にされちゃうわよ。
これは手厳しゅうございます。すっかり根に持たれてしまいまして。
Everyone let out a huge laugh. According to Jessica, Kumasawa-san's mackerel jokes were a running gag that our parents had long since we gotten used to. Kumasawa-san often claimed that mackerels had precious nutritional value, which could slow aging, make people smarter and more. Supposedly, while it couldn't stop the outward signs of aging, it helped prevent aging on the inside. Since she was still spirited enough to tell these kinds of jokes at her age, there must be something to that theory.
それでは失礼いたします。夕食にはふるってたくさんのサバ料理をお召し上がりいただきますので、どうぞご期待くださいませね。
期待してるよ。今晩はしめ鯖でキュッとしゃれ込みたいぜ。
それは素敵ね。ついでに日本酒の美味しいのも出てこないかしら。
ええ、ございますよ。六軒島名物のサバ焼酎なるものがございまして。
Kumasawa-san, together with Shannon-chan, bowed and pushed the serving cart away. It was pretty funny to watch Gohda-san, who looked like his show had totally been stolen, explain in a serious voice that we would be having a calf steak for dinner.
熊沢さん、さっきはありがとうございました。
As she pushed the serving cart, Shannon bowed her head very deeply.
なんもお礼を言われることなんてありません。
Kumasawa may have played dumb, but she obviously understood and saved Shannon the nick of time. Back when Butler had asked about dessert, Shannon had unfortunately hesitated. There may have been several ways to dodge the question, but all of them would have required some quick wits. Shannon, who hesitated when hard pressed for a response, was always suffering because of this small weakness. If only Shannon had a little of the craftiness needed to cleverly shake off a mistake, like Gohda, her life would have been a bit easier. The fact that she could perform other tasks flawlessly made this weakness even more unfortunate. However, there were some who understood Shannon's honest nature, her inability to gloss over a mistake and draw attention away from it. That was why Kumasawa had smoothly come to her rescue.
さっき源氏さんが午後のシフトに変更があるとおっしゃってましたよ。確かシャノンさんは夕方までお休みがもらえたと思いました。羨ましい。
すみません。シフト表を確認していませんでした。
そうそう。オーブンでこれからちょっとサバを焼こうと思ってるんですよ。できたらお休みの前にちょっと手伝ってくれると嬉しいですね。
はい。喜んでお手伝いさせていただきます。
To Shannon, Kumasawa was like a mother among the servants. And with that, we are ending this episode of Umineko When They Cry. So, from what I just saw, nope, I wanted to see something else. So, from what I'm seeing right here, we have unlocked all of the cast for this first part of Umineko When the Seagulls Cry, with about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 characters to keep in mind as we go on with this family game. Maybe I should not describe it as a family game. It's a game that involves a family. I don't know if this is a family-friendly game, though. So far, we got no tips. So, okay, so we're not ending this episode with tips. Instead, we are ending it with staring at Servant Gohda, who takes the virgins out of the freezer and used their blood to make the red sauce. What, does he use their own, or is he gonna use their organs to make the calf steak for their dinner that night? Yes, you know what? Fuck it. I'm confirming it now. Within my first few chapters of episode 1 Knowledge of Umineko, Gohda serves the Uchiha family. I'm liking you a little bit now with my stupid headcanons of you serving a family virgins from the freezer that you have stocked up. I need to end this video. God damn it. Leave a like. Even the camera's laughing. Leave a like. Leave a comment. And I'll see you all next time. I will see you next time. Michael.
OK, OK.